May I come in?
Hi, ma'am, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, please. Ma'am, बैठे.
Thank you, sir.
How are you, Fizza? कैसी हैं आप?
Alhamdulillah,
ठीक-ठाक
sir.
हो?
I'm good.
So let's start with your degree.
Sir.
What is the process of policy formulation
Sir.
and policy implementation in our country?
Sir. Sir, as far as Pakistan's circumstances are concerned, I must say that there are certain flaws both in the policy formulation process as well as in the implementation. Starting on with the policy formulation process, so it comprises of certain steps that should be taken in order to move towards implementation. For example, you need to identify the problem in the first place. Then you move towards how to come about, how to take stakeholders on board and the relevant people, and then you search for the policy options. When you are scrutinizing the policy options, I must say that is one of the most crucial part in policy formulation, because taking your policy options and considering the given circumstances of the premises you are dealing in, that is very important. But unfortunately, I think over here in Pakistan, when it comes to taking out the plausible policy solutions, that is a bit problematic. So I think I believe that we need to focus more on how the local narrative is incorporated in the policy options through the accommodation of the public at large. So then, as rightly pointed out by you, you talked about policy implementation. So policy implementation too requires certain steps, just as policy formulation. For example, just coming up with policies and just drafting them for mere documentation purpose, I think is not sufficient. You need to bring about the usage of policy implementation tools, I believe, that in turns help in getting the required outcomes through policy implementation, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Just a question which immediately springs to your mind. You don't have to think for it.
Sir.
Can you name two policies in Pakistan's history which were resounding success and two policies which were abject failures?
So number one, I would talk about the successes. I think the Green Revolution, the agricultural policies that were made in the 60s era, they were very fruitful for Pakistan. So secondly, I think the policies we were drafting for dealing with climate change in the year 2018 or so, like for example, the billion tree tsunami, that was one of the policies, because when I was doing my research, I found certain interviewees who were backing the implementation of billion tree tsunami, as well as the COVID came on peak in the year 2020.
You tell me the failures.
So the failures, I believe, because we are still in a condition of economic distress, we are not making any planning further. We had a planning commission, we were coming up with 5-year plans, but now we are not coming with any. So that is one of the failure of preventing the planning commission.
Which is actually lack of policy.
Exactly.
Lack of policy,
so
that's
that
a failure.
is exactly, sir. So apart from them, I believe climate change, as I know about a policy, National Climate Change Policy of the year 2022. It is there on the paper, but it is not being implemented.
Again, that was the lack of the policy implementation.
Again,
कोई ऐसी policy बता दो बनी भी और implement भी और failure भी हुई.
Sir, I believe for curbing smoke, the policy implemented was scrubberization. Scrubbers were being used on buildings, and in the initial years, I believe in the 2017 year and 18, it was helpful. But then on, when due to some vested interest of the self-interested industries, manufacturing units, I believe, the scrubbers were ruled out altogether. And again, they were adding to the smog and the climate degradation.
Just one
question about the policies.
Sir.
There was a policy for provision of roti to the Pakistani people.
Roti plants बने थे.
Pakki pakai taza roti.
Sir.
What happened to that policy?
Sir, I think I'm not sure about the policy, but I vividly heard about it.
It was during Bhutto's period.
And another scam was there in Sasti Roti.
Sasti roti.
वो तो इधर था पंजाब.
Recent, very recent,
6-7 साल
which consumes 8 billion rupees.
Sir.
Of Punjab government.
Without yielding any results whatsoever. आपने कर लिया सर? Please sir. Now
Okay, beta, you are public policy master degree holder,
Expert in it.
right? What is cognitive dissonance?
So, cognitive dissonance is a concept that is very famously renowned in the field of psychology. So, it was put forward by Leon Festinger, who originated and came up with the idea of cognitive dissonance. So, cognitive dissonance basically means something, two requirements, I would say, or something that is not in equilibrium, two thoughts, I would say, that are competing for impression in a person's brain when you are in a certain situation, when you are tackling a certain circumstance. In order to overcome, rather, I would say, that situation of disequilibrium, a person tends to behave in an almost biased behavior. This phenomena is known as cognitive dissonance.
What is the role of poverty in crime?
So I think both go hand in hand with each other. So there is a reason to this, because let's take the example of Pakistan. So over here, the poverty rate is almost 40% according to the recent report of World Bank. So what happens is, when poverty keeps on rising, there are certain sectors of the society who are forced to behave in anomic behavior, I would say, in a behavior that is not conventional. They take the path of the concepts put forward by Emile Durkheim, and also they become a part of strain, I would say. So that is how crime affects the upbringing of the people who are unable to achieve the ends which they could if they had the right means to do so, sir.
Recently, American courts sentenced Mr. Trump
Sir,
over the attempt on Capitol Hill.
sir.
What is your take regarding 9th May in Pakistan?
Sir, I believe
Is there any similarity?
So I believe when it comes to acting in an unorthodox manner or unconventional manner, there can be certain similarities in the two. But there is no denial to the fact that both the circumstances and the actions to the reactions were in different circumstances. For example, for the Capitol Hill thing, it was against the results that were tilted or that were obvious in the case of the President Joe Biden. But in the case of 9th May, sir, although there was violence, although there were certain things that were literally alarming for the integrity of our country, but they were done in opposition to something that was not considered right in the mindset of a certain political party. So I believe there were difference of circumstances, but yes, both these incidents carry a certain stigma, for the country.
What is SIFC and which are the countries having the stakes in SIFC?
So SIFC stands for Special Investment Facilitation Council. So it is also termed as the one window policy for Pakistan. It's a hybrid convention that is put forward by both the civil and military in Pakistan. So the main primary actors in SIFC include many Middle Eastern countries, I would say, like it's Saudi Arabia, it's Qatar, it's UAE, who are trying to help Pakistan and also trying to make their stake in our country.
What is the total quantum of investment from Qatar right now?
So I believe it's almost in billions, but I'm not sure about the exact figure, sir, right now.
Sir?
Sir.
Okay. Britishers were not successful in the south of India. Mughals.
Sir.
Because they failed to stop the influx and influence of Portuguese and English people there on their coasts.
Sir.
What was the reason behind it?
So the reason behind this was that, as rightly pointed out by you, the Mughals were more occupied, I would say, in some other affairs. For example, they were going through certain clashes and the intra-Haram conflict, I would term it like this. Owing to this, and sir, I think the matter of priorities should be brought up here. They were the management of naval forces, the management of bringing up for being occupied or being in a condition to come up with the military capacities, that was not on the agenda of the Mughal rulers, I say. And specifically, sir, this was the case after the demise of the last capable Mughal empire, I would say, that was Aurangzeb Alamgir in the year 1707. They were not ready for any external attacks from the south, as rightly pointed out by you. And the Portuguese were very expert in the naval and marine warfare, sir. So they were not putting their attention towards this agenda. That is the lack of interest.
But their focus, why their focus remained towards north?
Sir, I believe because they were better adapted to the conditions of the geographical area. I believe that is why, because also the southern, as I previously mentioned, they were not being able to comprehend the sort of attacks that were coming from the south. So in order to combat or try to occupy their stronghold, they were more tilted towards the north, because people over there were well adapted to that certain type of warfare, I believe.
Okay.
Sir.
Who was Hazrat Salma?
So Hazrat Salma is one of the Ummahatul Mumineen, the wives of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and she has a really important significance in the Islamic history. So the foremost thing is she is the last wife, I believe, that was who was in turns alive during the event of the massacre of Karbala in the 61 AH.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Two wives of Prophet
Sir.
who contributed a lot towards Islam. Would you name them?
Yes, sir. So number one would be Hazrat Hafsa bint Umar, the daughter of Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu anhu. She was the first woman of Islam who was very well rehearsed in the Quranic teaching, and she was a Hafiz. And she also narrated a lot for the Ahadith later on as well. So the second wife is Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa, Raziyallahu anha, the daughter of Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq. She is believed to have been vindicated by the Almighty himself. So she also holds a remarkable significance in the Islamic history. And she has also narrated a lot of Ahadith. And she also used to preach.
In certain history books, especially Islamic history books,
Sir.
there is controversy
Sir.
about the demise of which wife?
So I believe, so I think I shouldn't be taking an educated guess over here, because it's a very sensitive topic. So I need to go through this thing, sir.
You have not mentioned that the contribution of Hazrat Khatija. Why?
So I would have mentioned basically when you asked me, Hazrat Khadija was the one who popped up right in my mind. But the reason was that she had more contributions overall, generalized as well, not just for the path of Islam, rather it was also in the benefit of the people before Islam as well. Like she was helping the poor because she was a trader, she was a businesswoman. So she was helping overall. I tried to stick to the wives of the Holy Prophet who were very much well rehearsed and were helping Islam through their contributions.
We will not go into this controversy.
Sir.
Okay. Why the partition of Bengal was annulled?
So this is because the Hindus, they were in majority and they did not want the partition of Bengal to work. So in 1911, basically, they were running a Swadeshi movement. They were boycotting all the stuff that was being made at that time, and they were boycotting the Britishers' stuff, and they wanted to force the Britishers to take that partition proclamation back. So it was annulled in 1911 because a lot of violence was being done. So it had to be taken back.
आजकल के दौर के
Sir.
उलमा
Sir.
में से आप किन किन आलमों को जानती?
So
Regardless of sex and other things, famous उलमा जिनको लोग कोट भी करते हैं, उनके बारे में बात भी करते हैं, ठीक है? जो जदीद thoughts के लोग हैं.
So I know about Maulana Tariq Jameel, a very famous name, I must say. So before the demise of Hussain Rizvi, people were ardent supporters of Hussain Rizvi as well, and now his party is being backed up by his son. So people used to quote him as well. So one another name that is recently popping in my mind is Muhammad Ali Mirza, who belongs from Jihlim. He also comes up with unorthodox thoughts, I must say, and tries to convince people in a direction people want to know. So these
Our
are few
teacher in
names.
the academy was
Javed
Javed
Ghamdi.
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 What is your take?
Have you heard him?
Ghamdi?
Sir, I have surely heard about him, but I don't know about the teaching, so I cannot say
ठीक.
much.
Just a question which was just circulating in my mind. Normally, when we talk about the Mughal history, we talk about the kings, the emperors, the princes, but there is a hidden chapter behind it also, which is about the princesses and the queens of the Mughal Empire.
Sir.
Not much is talked about them. There was a book written recently, maybe 5 years ago, Daughters of Sun. पता नहीं आपने देखी है या नहीं? इरा मकोटे की है. She's an Indian writer, a young girl.
Sir.
And she has highlighted the role of the queens and the princesses behind the throne.
Sir.
So, are you aware of some very prominent names as far as the Mughal ladies are concerned, both princesses and queens?
Sir, I am. Sir, I would like to start with Ruqayya Sultan, who was the first wife of Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar. So she was very influential in the harem. Rather, it is popularly said that till Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar had not married Jodha Begum, one of the beloved wives, she used to pull the strings of the king. Rather, she was the one who was running all the politics of the harem.
Like,
And
briefly
as well.
बताएं, क्योंकि तो there are so many.
Sir,
So I would be
sir,
just
then
names.
I would like to mention Mehrunisa, popularly
Obviously,
known as
Noor
Noor
Jahan,
Jahan. She and her brother Asif Jah, they were very popularly
Influential.
influential. So then I would like to mention the other wife of Shah Jahan as well, Taj Mahal. The story, her name is Arjuman Bano,
Mumtaz
popularly known as Mumtaz Mahal. She was also very influential, sir.
ये आपने सारे queens के नाम बताए.
Sir.
But probably in the history,
Sir.
one of the most important name is Jahanara. Have you heard about her?
Sir, I have heard about her. Sure,
Because
sir.
she was not the queen.
Sure, sir.
She was not the queen, but she became Badshah Begum.
Sure, sir.
Badshah Begum was a status which was bigger than the queen and used to be the matriarch of the darbar.
Sir.
So anything about Jahanara?
So prominent contributions, I think I need to read upon them.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. Good luck.
Allah Hafiz, sir.